Welcome to the We Can Do It Women movement, where women 60 and wiser step into the spotlight and make the rest of their lives the best of their lives. I'm your host, Debra Morrison, a wealth building expert and champion for extraordinary women just like you. For over 47 years, I've helped women secure their financial futures. Yep. And now I'm on a mission to ignite a revolution, showing the world that at 60, 70, and beyond, some of us might be a nickel slower, yet we're all just getting started. And today's We Can Do It Women expert interview features Carolyn Doelling, an American model, writer, speaker, age inclusion advocate who rose to prominence after beginning her fashion modeling career in her 70s. Welcome to the show, Carolyn.
Thank you so much, Deborah. It's a pleasure to be here.
I am tickled beyond words, and we are going to have a great discussion because you have so very, very many accomplishments and lessons, if you will, that you're passing on to generations, and you are absolutely living your legacy. You'll leave one, and you're living it. And so let's talk about you in terms of how you got started, because clearly we know you now in a big way as an esteemed and award-winning model, yet you had a whole other career in finance and banking and telecommunications and philanthropy before you began this career. So talk to us about how you got started in life and then your progression, if you will, through these various industries. It's very impressive.
Well, thank you so much. You are so kind to say all those nice words about me. The story is true. You know, I had a job just like everybody else, and I was at Bank of America, I was in telecommunications, I was in philanthropy, and I did just like everyone else does when they go through corporate. You retire at a certain age, and I retired at age 70 with the plans, of course, that I would be a retiree and do what all retirees do.
Yeah.
Travel, go to book clubs, do grandkid stuff, and yeah, so that was satisfying for a bit. But then I recognized that along with other women my age, I observed that I thought we were being overlooked and underestimated.
Love
And
that.
I'm such an activist at heart, you know, having grown up in the civil rights movement and protest and, you know, just believing so much in the idea of social justice.
Absolutely.
So here I am, a woman of 70. You know, what do I do with this? It's like, it's just not fair that we're being overlooked. And, you know, at first I started saying, oh, I feel like I'm invisible.
Yeah.
And I wrote articles about that and got some traction, but I was mostly just ranting about it to anyone who would listen to me.
Yeah.
And one day, a woman who was listening to me was Sherry McMullen. She owned a local boutique here in Oakland, and she had the vision to include me in one of her photo shoots. So I kind of fell off into this idea of modeling. It was not really my idea to do that. I just was wanting to prove that we could do more than seemed to be expected of us. And
Yeah.
so she posted me, introduced me to some designers, and it took off. So the trend was we need more mature models. So not only mature, but mature and ordinary, you know, because there are a fair number of models these days over the age of 70, but often they've been models before, or they're already a celebrity and they're asked to do runway. But I'm just Carolyn Doelling, you know, who had a career in banking and telecommunications and philanthropy, just like you said.
Right, right. And now I'm not being able to put my fingers on it right this moment, which is upsetting. But I read something about your hair, and you talk to us about that because I was intrigued, and I think your hair is beautiful. So what am I remembering having read? And I'm sorry not to remember it.
No, that is so kind of you that you've actually done the reading.
Yeah.
Yeah, the hair was a big motivator in all of this. You know, for years, from the time I was 6 or 7 years old, I straightened my hair. Then later, I colored my hair, always having straight hair. Um, and it was an accident, actually, that I discovered my silver hair. Um, I was at my normal stylist, and we were doing the normal straightening, coloring, and it just didn't turn out right. I mean, I started losing hair, and we had to take it down to the nubs, if you will. And there it was, this beautiful silver hair with nice curls. And so I was encouraged by her and many other people to just let it go. And we did some photographs around it. And that was also popular. People stopping me in the street, telling me how great my hair was. So that has really kind of become my signature as a model. You know, my agent in New York encourages it. And often clients who want to hire me want to know if I still have that silver hair, because that is their reason for wanting to include me. And I really applaud that, because I mean, so many people, so many women are afraid to let the silver go, because again, it's that whole ageism thing. You look older if you have silver hair. I found that it's very empowering to have the silver hair.
Yeah, I'm empowered to see it. I my mom had really beautiful white hair, and I was really enthralled with it. I happened to color my hair because I guess I started, and I'm still doing that. And yet this is now an age I think we're coming into, Carolyn, that you and other women have trailblazed and said this is beautiful. White is beautiful, gray is beautiful, sterling and the mixture. So I applaud you for that. And the aspect of your saying you're just Carolyn. Well, you're Carolyn, and yet I completely appreciate the fact that you were stepping into kind of an experimental next chapter, and it turned out pretty darn nice, right? It turned out that you're working for brands like Athleta, CVS, Google, Target. I mean, small, you guys, small little, how in the name of sense, you obviously have an agent, New York based, I think, and so you've been able to apply for oh, what is it, audition for, pardon me, I apologize, audition for various fashion and runway kind of gigs, and you have a wonderful perspective, Carolyn, and I applaud you on the differentiation between you and some of the younger models. Like, and you're like, why are these companies using just 22-year-old models? And I have the same question. So great for you. And you're talking about the aspect of when they don't get a gig, it's really kind of, flattening. And yet you're like, I don't get a gig this gig, I get the gig the next gig. And there's such wisdom in that. Talk to us about some of that.
Well, there's wisdom. Perhaps there's also just freedom in that. I think the 22-year-old has a totally different purpose for modeling than I do.
Yeah.
For me, I am trying to send a visual message to everyone who might see the photo or the runway that, I too can be a model. And I'm sending a visual argument to those decision makers who constantly choose the same rubric for modeling, that there is a different way. There's a different way to do it. And if you want authenticity, and coincidentally, the mature model over 50 is a huge consumer base. And
Wonderful.
so, yes, by the way, yes, I mean, we buy the products. But I mean, I understand it. I mean, this is a youth-oriented world. I think it's changing somewhat. I think people are starting to realize that people my age are not aspiring to be 20 years old, and we're not aspiring to be a size 000.
Yes.
We're living our lives as the real people that we are. And it's really quite refreshing to see some designers embrace that as a way to present their product and be authentic in that.
Right now. I couldn't agree more. And we in this group talk a lot about shifting the lens, if you will, Carolyn, from society kind of looking at the older population and saying, what are they going to cost us, to what are they giving us? And over what can they give us if we open the door instead of slam it in their face, right? And so you have really expanded the vision for a number of women to why not, give it a whirl. And I think that probably we'll have some people contacting you after. It's like, all right, so tell us a little bit more about how you started this whole thing. So you inspire people to reboot their lives. Love that. Embrace new opportunities rather than fade into the background. Yes, yes, yes. And you have written on various themes in terms of essays and articles and so forth. And I'm seeing some in little nooks and crannies that you're speaking about, maybe to document and write down your family's history. And I implore you to do that, because the themes that you're throwing out here would be migration, sharecropping, and living through significant moments in Black history. I would love for you to do that for your kids, your grandkids, and for everyone else in the world, because you have a rich history. So talk to us about how far along you might be with that. Are you collecting stories? Have you begun? Are you close to publication? Where are you?
Well, first of all, I think you should be my agent. I've never, I've never had anyone do quite as much research on the background as you, and I appreciate it so much.
You're welcome.
Yeah, actually that was, I mentioned retiring at the age of 70. And so I knew I would have all this time on my hands. I talked about travel, I talked about book clubs, but I also was very interested, and you're absolutely right. I mean, my family history reads like American history. And growing up in North Carolina, segregated schools, segregation, I can name in every chapter in the history books. I mean, there was slavery, there was sharecropping, there was affirmative action, so it is a history book. And there are some really, really colorful characters in my background. And my grandfather owned a very nice functioning farm, which was pretty unusual, which is still in the family. And there are dozens and dozens and dozens of cousins. And so, yeah, I mean, I have definitely started. Writing is challenging. I've got a couple of things going. I do really well when I'm writing essays, and I've had some nice ones published. The book on my story is how I got into modeling and trying to encourage other women to not necessarily do modeling, but do whatever it is that they think that they would like to do in their next chapter. That's also in the word app. So in terms of where I am on the history, yeah, I'm still collecting data. I'm still thinking. I'm writing little snips and pieces. I'm talking to people, getting interviews, and hopefully in a couple of years we'll have something to produce and show you.
All right. I'm gonna hold you to it, kiddo.
I believe you will.
I'll be on your tail. Come on, kiddo. We know this. So talk to us about you modeled these huge brands. It's crazy good. Your story's been featured on the Today Show, ABC News, and a whole bunch of publications. And you travel from New York to Paris. You have a son, I think, in Paris, and a grandson, do you?
Yes.
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 So I mean, I think I read you've done quite a bit of traveling with this fashion career and modeling career. And I think I read that you said, I kind of might like to stay home a little bit, but then you're saying, I'll see if how that works out. But I love you for really continuing to be able to, juggle family, this career, and being out there, because every single time you appear, Carolyn, it's a difference maker. It's a difference maker. It just is. And your
Yeah.
portfolio getting bigger and bigger is so wonderful, an example for anyone of any age, and certainly women of a mature age, to emulate and to be buoyed by. But now talk to us about a couple of the setbacks, if you will. Obviously, you got a pretty good start. You're a stylist, your hairstylist, you did a photo shoot, you've got an agent, you're getting some gigs. What were some of the barriers that came up, and maybe expected or unexpected, and what did you do to get through them?
Well, let me just say this. Anyone who's aspiring to be a model, like I said, I really wasn't, but here I am.
Yeah.
Rejection is the name of the game. I mean, first of all, you have to have something that you're really passionate about. And like we talked about, the 22-year-old is passionate about the modeling.
Yeah.
I'm passionate about the activism.
There you go.
I do that. I do it because I want to demonstrate that it can be done, not just for the client, certainly the over 50-year-old, but what I'm really finding too also is that the 30-year-old, I get a lot of responses from the 30-year-old who says, oh, those are goals for me. Or they want to include their mother, their grandmother, their aunt, just look at this. And I feel so privileged and honored to have so many like news outlets pick up my story, news outlets, podcasts, various articles, small newsletters, large media companies. Because again, I'm passionate, and I want the word to get out that you too, whoever you are out there, can reinvent, reboot yourself, identify whatever your passion is, claim it, name it, and get out there and do it. I forget what question you asked me. I'm on my tirade here.
Well, in other words, there had to have been little setbacks and so forth that
Oh,
would have
of
derailed
course.
other people with less verve, and you went, you're doing it.
Yeah. Setbacks, yeah, there are setbacks all the time. I mean, I think along with passion, persistence is really important, because you go to an audition and you can see it in people's eyes. It's like, well, you don't look like a model. And 9 times out of 10, you really don't get that job if they're looking for someone who has the traditional look of a model. But again, in some ways, I feel like I've accomplished the goal just by showing up, interviewing or auditioning with the creative staff. And hopefully I have left an image and a question in their minds about why are we? Why are we still doing things the same way as we've done in the past? And so to others, it might look like a setback, but to me, I've accomplished a part of the goal. And then, of course, if I get the gig, like the Athleta being in their catalog, being on video in all of their stores, I mean, that's just so rewarding because of the number of people who get to experience that and see it as something that's unique that they've not seen before. And hopefully it implants an idea in their mind, wherever they are, that a 74-year-old, 75-year-old, they should not be underestimated. There are things that they can do that we've always reserved for someone who was 50 years younger.
Yeah. Yeah, I think too that you're right. When any of these staffing members, you will, develop probably and mature into, owners themselves, perhaps, and they can't not see. See, they can't deny then that a mature woman can be an effective and a beautiful model after they've seen you. And you just can't not see it. You can't not see it again. So you're adding to the reservoir of experience and positivity for aging and inclusion, which of course is your whole life, your whole aspect of your mission being changing perceptions of
Yeah,
aging
yeah.
and beauty, right? Totally. So
Yeah,
talk.
I don't really, I mean, I understand that ageism is alive and well. Um, and I don't blame any one person for that. It's just that, all around us in society, there's just like this drip, drip, drip. Younger people are more relevant. Younger people are more desirable. It's really hard to not, I mean, to ignore that. So again, I don't begrudge it. I just am persistent in trying to open the eyes of people that it's possible.
Well, you certainly have done a lot of that. Now, we just said earlier in the interview that you started modeling at, I think it was age 74, but you also decided to break through, and every pun intended, um, age stereotypes in other unexpected ways by beginning to kickbox after you turned age 70. Holy camoly, how did you get into kickboxing?
On a dare.
Love that.
Oh yeah. This lovely gym I attend has various classes, and boxing was one of the classes. And um, my my fellow attendees, not in that class, but in other classes, we would walk by after class and I go, oh my gosh, what's going on in here? They go, oh, that's kickboxing. That's for the younger ones. You don't want to do that. So it was a dare. So I decided to go in. And luckily for me, the instructor was very accepting and patient. And, I just enjoyed it so much. And let me just say also, I mean, I do have kind of what's the right term? I don't tell me not to do something. I mean, that's the thing that gets me going. Now, so I took the kickboxing class, enjoyed it. Um, then I branched out to another actual kickboxing studio. And yeah, so that actually got me a couple of jobs, really, because that's also newsworthy. I have fun whenever I'm in an Uber and the driver goes to know, well, how was your day been? And I said, oh, it was pretty good. The best part was my kickboxing class. It's like, what? What? That's whiplash. What?
Okay. You're gonna have to grab the wheel at that point, Carolyn.
So I mean, I enjoyed the reactions, but again, you're sending a message that don't just pigeonhole us all. Don't put us all in the same box. Some of us, yeah, have other skills.
Are gonna kick right out of that limitation. Yeah. So, what's your favorite? You have such a wealth of expertise, life experience, and family history, and societals, ageism, racism, everything else, sexism. How is it that what's your favorite topic to talk on? Like you're doing some workshops, you speak for corporations and so forth. What's your favorite topic to speak on?
Let me just back up and say, the speaking is not primary.
Okay.
I mean, I feel like I can speak, but I have not done speaking with corporations for a while, when I was employed. So if you were to ask me today, what would be my topic that I would want to speak on?
Yeah.
It would be how you have power to influence how people see you.
Nice.
And the power does not just fade away because you are of a certain age. During that period of time when I was feeling overlooked, I did some really minor things like change my fashion. As you know, some people on the street go, "Oh, you dress so young," whatever that means. Uh, got out of my gray and my black and my tan and wore popping colors, or open my mouth and speak to people on the street. Just how are you? And these minor changes are just created a lot more in the way of social engagement. And I think all of us at all ages have more power than we believe and accept and act on. But certainly, people my age, I'm now 78, and 80, feel that their power has been, removed, and that's not the case. We still have things we can do, still have things to learn, so much more to learn, so much more to learn from other people, to engage, and so
Wow.
empowerment would be the topic.
Love that word. Yes, indeed. And yes. This aspect of social activism and so forth and so on, you've been named and included and sit on, apparently, the Prada Group Diversity and Inclusion Council, Advisory Council. Talk to us about that, where you're bringing together leaders, art, fashion, academia, activism, smush them all together and elevate certainly people of color within Prada, of course, small little brand, right? It's Prada and the broader industry. So talk to us about how you got involved with Prada. Did they seek you out? Did you knock on their door? Because we're grateful for this, this inclusion council, this advisory council, and that you're on it. But talk to us about how you got involved with Prada.
I must admit that I've not been involved with Prada. I'm so sorry.
Oh, I have a bad piece of it. Sorry about that. Okay.
No, I haven't. I certainly would serve on any I mean, the closest that I've been, certainly I'm a product of diversity and inclusion. And if I were asked about, how to be more inclusive, it would be, to be more open-minded, to bring more people to the table who have ideas. I was at a shoot once where the hairstylist said that she had been invited to come to the table of one of the fashion houses because, people at the table should be the people you want to include. And sometimes that's not always the case. And we've seen some real mishaps like that when, a company goes out and presents an image that could have been avoided if they just had the right people at the table. So not Prada, but now that you mentioned it, maybe they'll call.
Well, I'm thinking I should call them. Now, I think you mentioned remake before, did you?
Which one?
Remake, the sustainability and so forth. Or maybe this is another. Guys, like looking up, and I think these are companies that so meld with your methodology and your vision and your mission, that maybe that's where I got that from. So talk to us about the the travel and you were involved. So you're 78 now. Yeah. So you were involved pre-pandemic, and then did you continue to do shoots virtually and Zoom and so forth during the pandemic, or was that a little hiatus and you regrouped and then you came back after the pandemic was over?
Well, certainly it was a hiatus in terms of in-person.
Yeah.
There were a few, however, that were cleverly created using Zoom. And there was one shoot with Tibby out of New York where the photographer had an app that allowed a photographer here to see directly what he was shooting. So that was really kind of clever. Yeah, we did a whole afternoon with a local photographer who was shooting me here, and the New York photographer was able to edit it and select, kind of on the spot. So there was that kind of really interesting and clever activity, but primarily, yes, things kind of dried up, and now, I mean, it's and then there was a busier period after everybody got, was able to go in person again. It's never nonstop. It's twice a month or something like that. Now, if I'm in New York, more, because you know, economically, you can afford to take less money, if you will, if you're in New York, as opposed to if you have to fly to New York and not, so.
There you are.
Yeah, so, and it'll be interesting to see what happens now that, some organizations are using or talking about using AI to replace models instead of models, or using models, images, instead of having them in person and paying in that way. And this whole, all this rattling about, DEI and stopping, So I don't know. I mean, I think that there was a period when everybody was humming Black Lives Matter, Black Lives Matter. And so you could see that there was more of a shift to include people of color. The jury's still out about, how this whole movement in some circles against DEI will have an impact on fashion modeling.
Right. I am in complete agreement. The jury is out. Obviously, it was horrific news to so many of us that we would imagine going backwards. And yet our foremothers, they fought quite a few battles of all races, and particularly our Black sisters. Wow, gone to the mat and absolutely been out there, and then got set back and then got back up. And that's what is so empowering about studying our foremothers and studying our mature women is, fall down or get kicked down 6 times and get up 7 or 8 or 10. And so this, I can just imagine you and a younger model being on a set or on the side waiting for whatever is going to happen next, and you kind of chit-chatting with them in terms of your life experience. And I would think that you really resonate a lot with Gen Z individuals, models, because they're kind of so about authenticity. And boy, you're really authentic. I don't know, do you have a particular age group that you really resonate with? Or talk to us about how you get into storytelling situations with the younger kids, younger models, younger women.
I don't have a specific age group that I resonate with. I can say that on set, everyone is very encouraging, and everyone has the same goal. They want to produce a product that is successful, and I get nothing but real respect from the younger people, and some of them, we follow each other now, and it's just wonderful. I don't feel like I'm in a position that I can provide any wisdom to them on set. Most of these people get many, many, many more jobs than I do. But it's quite rewarding, because in some ways you wouldn't really respect that. I could just think of one example where it was an audition for Runway. And typically these things are in New York, and often they're like in Brooklyn and at a studio. And the line is wrapped around the corner because so many young people want the chance to do Runway.
Of course.
And, you walk in and expect to have people look at you, give you that, you don't look like a model look. but I've never, ever, I've really never gotten that from the fellow auditioners. I mean, I think there's joy in most faces. So that just keeps me going too. You know, I think, I don't know what I would do if I felt rejected on all levels. You know, I'm accustomed to the fact that I'm rejected because they didn't like my walk or whatever the reason is, that I wasn't the right time for them. Uh, but the fellow auditioners, it's really been quite impressive that young people of all ages are very respectful. And, you know, I think we sometimes say things like we feel invisible, and that is true to a certain extent. I don't know if it's, I'm coming to think that it's not you're invisible. I think what we're combating is like irrelevancy. People think you're not irrelevant anymore because you're not working, um, you don't have a job, you're not really producing. But I'm feeling less and less invisible, and not so much because of the modeling or, you know, the writing or whatever. I have a lot of respect for young people who do see us,
Yes, of course.
who do see me. And it's at the auditions, they see me, we're chatting. And it's just also like just on the subway, just, you know, can I take that bag for you, ma'am? Can I do this for you, ma'am? Can I do this for you? So I'm not invisible. They do see me. You know, they see me. It's just that in some circles and, you know, the ageism thing, it's like, we don't expect that you can do this, or we don't expect that you should be able to do that. And that's the irrelevancy part, you know, because the people you see in advertising, the people you see on the runway, what you think is, oh, and that's who's relevant, you know, those people, because they've been chosen to do this, then they are relevant. So that's kind of the struggle, is feeling how do you become more relevant, not how, yeah, how you become visible. I'm kind of struggling with that a little bit. But I can say that all generations on set have been very, very, very encouraging to me. And, you know, like I said, they say, I want to be just like you when I'm your age. So
Well, that has to be encouraging. Yeah.
it is encouraging, and it fuels me. It's why I continue to do what I do.
Yeah, I think Barbara is your Barbara. Jesus.
Carolyn.
Carolyn, as you're speaking, I am hearing you talk about maybe not so much about like you know, in the sides, in the shadows, or in irrelevancy. I can come back to purpose, right? I think that, you know, a lot of society kind of done with women once they birth their kids, right? And then they keep the family together, and they're kind of done with women. Their useful value, right, is behind them or something. And yet this sense of purpose, that wisdom, sense of purpose and wisdom, experience and so forth of mature women in particular, is so rare that if corporations would embrace that in, you know, a more universal fashion, I believe we would really have quite a lot of what we're looking to AI to give us. Now, maybe I'm just on a little, you know, a tangent here, but it feels to me like that authenticity, the sense of repurposing our lives as women as we go through our various chapters and age groups and so forth, I think is real exciting, because we can interweave all the experience. No, I don't want to do that again. Oh, that was kind of interesting. Oh, those, and then we go down those routes and figure out if it's a dead end. Okay, it was interesting. We saw what we want to see, or if there's a real on ramp to something that we can absolutely explore. I don't know if any of that resonates, but you seem to have purpose after purpose after purpose, and I can't. You know, I'm just kind of eager to see what comes next for you. I definitely gonna be looking for this book family history. But does that resonate in terms of the purpose? To me, that's what, like, you stop somebody in a subway, or you're in the same shoot and you're sitting on the chairs in the side, and I could imagine you kind of engaging the young people, say, what are you, what are you really doing? What's your why? I don't know. Do you get in these kind of, or is there enough time on a shoot?
Well, there's not enough time. And um, not what is your why. Often the conversation is about, why you're modeling, what your goals are, what your, and trust me, these kids, nobody's really doing it for money, because
Yeah.
it just, it's too sparse in terms of the number of gigs that you get, unless you're really high end.
Right.
So yeah, I mean, I think that's why I can become friends on Facebook, because I'm really very interested in their lives beyond modeling. I'm interested, and I'm very, very encouraging to what it is that they're doing. But to your point about repurposing or reinventing our demographic, yeah, I mean, the baby boomers are, one of the largest growing demographics, and it would make sense, to take advantage of that. And I feel really encouraged that, people like you, shows like you, podcasts like 70 over 70, there's more and more interest. And I think it is because the population of people over 50, 60 is growing at a much more rapid rate. And it's like we said earlier, it's got a huge economic base. So I think it'll be really hard to ignore us moving forward. And there's lots, you just Google, there's lots of information out there, lots of little kernels of wisdom in that area, groups that are being organized, around it. And yeah, so you're right. We're a resource, and I sense that people are discovering us more and more, and that will continue.
Yeah, yeah. Now I have to ask this, because I used to wear high heels and three-piece suits and everything, and I still have several pairs of high heels, and I can wear them for about a half hour or 20 minutes, but boy, walking around in them. So when you are doing runway shoots and so forth, well, first of all, like, you're redoing your hair, and all of a sudden, you get introduced to, hey, why don't we do that? Why don't I get a stylist? You get a headshot, and pretty soon, you're in modeling and fashion. What about the walking in heels? Did you have to like take training about walking in heels down the runway, or do they at least give you, shorter heels? Or am I being discriminatory even in suggesting that you couldn't walk in a spike? Talk to us about that, because I don't know, small things amuse this small mind, and I'm just kind of curious.
It's a good question. It's a very good question. I've had people say, can you still wear those? And I say, oh, just from the limo to the restaurant. I'm just a couple of things. One is, you have not seen me yet in haute couture runway down, in Paris or Milan. And that, I don't know if it's in my future. But doing runway practice, one must wear the heels, because you never know what you're going to be asked to do. So I don't know. I don't know what detail you want, but yeah. So I have the heels, and for me, it's not so much the walking. I'm just afraid that I'm going to slide and fall, which, for those of you watching, if you're not 70, 78, that's a real concern. That is a real concern. We don't want to fall. So I have the soles of my heels converted to this like rubberized.
Good. Oh, good.
So I'm not going to slip if yeah. but it just takes practice, and it's a short time. It's not like you're having to, walk
Yeah. Yeah.
6 blocks.
Right. Right. Right.
But yeah, I mean, I've definitely mastered the practice. In actual, I'm thinking the last time I did one, it was a chunky heel, and
It
they
was,
didn't
I'm
care.
sorry, it was where?
Chunky, like a chunky heel,
Yeah.
not a,
Yeah.
yeah. So, that's very easy.
Yeah.
And sometimes it's just, a sneaker, a flat. So, yeah. So your question, I've not had to actually walk a long runway in heels. I've had to do runway practice in heels. And I'm confident that I could do the long runway heel because I've got the surface on my, yeah, but who knows? Who
Nice.
knows? That's
Nice
a good
job.
question. That is a good question. Yeah.
I love that the rubberized, because of course, well, when you were talking, I get it. I mean, almost every single one of my friends is probably 20 years older than I am, so I love older people, and falling is of course a concern. I think probably what would be kind of like a bad thing after one would fall on a runway is having it on film.
Guess what?
Is
Guess
having
what?
it on film.
It's
Falling
on
would be
film.
one thing, and having it captured on film. All right, sorry, that was a stupid thing. Anyway, what is your next chapter? What's on your bucket list?
These books.
Yes, yes. Yes.
Yeah, my challenge as a writer is just choosing to do the dishes instead of writing, choosing to go on Instagram and post something other than writing. Yeah, I admire people who can do it and stick to it and stick to it. Yeah, so I've got pages and pages of things that need to be edited. And so anyway, that's the next step. And then one of my friends said, well, but you were spending so much time on this. Do people even read books anymore?
Oh yeah,
Like,
absolutely.
yeah, that make a good point. I don't know. But you mentioned earlier about doing it for your grandchildren, and I think there's, at this age, you realize there are things you don't want to leave undone,
Nice.
and things that you've been speaking of doing for so many years. You just must do it. You must do it. And if somebody reads it, great. Hopefully, somebody reading it will be inspired for some reason.
Exactly.
But I think it's the doing it that is really the motivation, getting it done.
Yeah, I definitely want to read these stories from your family. I think you were picking tobacco or something, weren't you, as a kid, as a young girl? Were you picking tobacco?
Oh yeah. I mean, growing up in Kinston, North Carolina, tobacco that was the economy.
Yeah, and
So yeah, that was my first job, picking tobacco, making $5 a day,
and
sun up to sundown.
yeah.
So yeah, there are a lot of stories in there. There are a lot of stories in there. And
So you went
it's
to North Carolina to uh, Bay Area, Oakland, California, and you've obviously been back and forth from Paris. You've done coast to coast, and that is amazing. So, what is the you have a small little grandson. How old is he?
just shy of 2 years.
Oh, okay.
He
So,
had a toddler.
oh
Yeah.
my, so I can just imagine, this being kind of now I'm just going to throw something out just for grins. How about you get a picture? What is his name? All right, I don't want to really want to put all that stuff out. Your 2-year-old toddler, near 2-year-old toddler. Put a picture of him on your computer or on your refrigerator and say, today, write one page for, let's say his name is Tyler, right? Write one page for him, because when you look at him, he's going to want to know a lot more about grandma. than he knows right now. And he's going to be curious about these ins and outs, starting the tobacco field, dreaming of just getting an office job, probably just to get into air
Yeah,
conditioning, earn
yeah.
that steady income. That I invite you to consider, that just give yourself that little extra boost, because he is going to be massively curious, as probably both of two of your kids. I think you have two kids, right?
No, you're right. There's actually a pretty clever little grandchild gift that's you might have seen it. It's called Letters to Your Grandchild. And it has little envelopes in it that and it asks questions. What would you like for him to know about you? What would you like for him to know about your dad? What would you like for him to know about your family? So these are questions that prompt you to respond. And I have done that. I have done that. It's just yeah, there's a bigger version of it that I need to it. But I'm so thankful for you to yeah, to give me the idea and encourage me, because it needs to be done, Deborah. It really needs to be done.
And you want to do it,
And
right?
I want to do it.
There
Yeah.
you go.
So
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
it's a story that needs to be told.
Yeah, yeah, and we need to hear it. And so I like that idea so much. I'm a certified grief coach as well, and I work with uh, retirees a lot, and pre-retirees, because my master's degree is in retirement planning. So I'm like totally in this genre, and I am really an advocate of people writing notes and so forth to their kids, grandkids, whatever, nieces, nephews, friends, uh, on particular occasions. So on your graduation, I want you to know this. Now, you might still be here. Hopefully you are, but if you're not,
Yeah.
and they open that, and these can be then little, paragraphs and chapters in your book, but these kinds of things are invaluable. And I also love, just throwing this out, because both of my parents are passed now, and have died, and I am very much an advocate of video
Mm.
of older people, because I'm actually a pretty good photographer, and I have terabytes of pictures of my parents. And yet, you know what's valuable is hearing them sing happy birthday. And sometimes when they would call me on my cell phone on my birthday, I would just let it go to voicemail so that I could have it.
Ah, uh-huh.
And
Yeah.
in the day, everybody just had some pictures of their loved ones, and then they died. And you're like, oh, boy, I just like to hear
Mm.
their voice. So I think in addition to writing, you intersperse it with some video clips, and then you bring some person in at a smaller wage, and pay them to bring this stuff together and transcribe your videos. And boy, you're going to have a book before you know.
Oh my gosh. So good. So
And
good. You
you,
know what?
you're on notice. Next time you're in New York, I got to hear about it. We got to.
Okay. All right. One of the things you just pointed out about me, and we talk about ageism and da. It's like we got to get, but I think we do it. Sometimes I do it to myself. I think of one medium, which is the medium of writing, and I don't necessarily go beyond that to it. People talk about Chat GPT. It's like, well, maybe I should be. Yeah, I don't think beyond the old school method of doing things. The video is a wonderful idea. So yes, this has been very valuable for me today to get these ideas.
I'm grateful that it has. And I have often interviewed, I know I have some interviews of relatives and so forth, and I just sit the camera up like across the room so that they don't feel completely self-conscious. And then after a few sentences, you're just jiving with them. And now you have a whole bevy of things that someone can edit. And it
Yeah.
also seems really laid back and natural. So I'm throwing these out because I want these stories. I want to read them. I want to relish them. And I think that your any aspects of the details of a woman that has come through life as you have, and reinvented yourself so many times, and succeeded in so many different venues and careers. I genuflect right here too. So, anything else that you would like to leave with our viewers in terms of advice, or uh, challenges or anything that you would like to impart? Because I would love to hear any last statements.
So I often get asked from women, I mean, who go to my website and then send me messages. People will say, I've always wanted to do this, I've always wanted to do that, I just don't know how to get started, or I'm, in a marriage I don't like, and I don't, I feel, I have kids and the grandkids that you mentioned, but I live alone and I don't have, kind of the need to cook for anybody, so there are people who have tasks that need to be done. And so the question is, well, how do I move into what I want to do? And I can tell them what I did. I can't totally advise them except to say, just recognize that your power, why not? And it's like, you can't go back and change what has happened already, but just think about the future. What is the thing you're passionate about? Can you name it? Can you claim that thing? And, then just go about telling people about it. Like I said, I was ranting about being overlooked and underestimated. I was ranting to anybody who would listen. People want to help you. People
Right.
want you to succeed.
That is wisdom right there, beyond words. Yes.
Yeah, absolutely. So just get it out there, talk it up with people, and print your business cards. Get a website. Do it. Why not? Why not? If not you, who? Right?
Carolyn, this has been so rewarding. I knew it was going to be fun, and well, I had a lot of fun. And I welcome everybody to go to Carolyn's website, Carolyn, Carolyn, Dowling, Doell,
Doedoelling. Carolyn Doelling. Yes.
I love the cadence. All right, we're going to put that in the show notes. Pop over to her website. Take in whatever you can find on the computer and the internet, because it's plentiful, and get more engrossed. And I think that Carolyn has shown us so much passion, and I invite each of you to do just that, is to find your passion, see it, hear it, smell it, taste it, be it. And when we involve these senses, the more senses we involve in any pursuit, the more likely our success. And so, just as Carolyn is saying, she defaults to writing because she's great at it, and she's now going to consider expanding into video. I invite us to expand into the full measure of our power. It's multifaceted. And so if you haven't done these other imaginings and these other sensory activities around your passion, I invite you to do that. And what better time to start than today? So we'll put all your contact information in the show notes. And with that, I want to say a very, very hearty thank you to everyone that has tuned in. And if this interview has sparked your intrigue and so forth, obviously you're going to want to connect with Carolyn. Remember, I see you. I value you, and your greatest chapter is just beginning. So if today's episode sparked something in you, as I say, check out Carolyn and her website and her work, and dig deep, look inside, and see what is calling your name, because I have every confidence that you can do it, because we can do it women. Thank you so much.
Perfect. Thank you so much.
Indeed.
That was lovely. Thank you.
Thank you.